Hey guys, firstly I'd like to say thank you to Gabriel for hosting this and for all of you who stayed for my talk. It's great to see so many new faces here as well as my friends Kip, Frank, Carter K, Mark who's just joined. Yeah, so Claudio left us off nicely with this talk with a topic about like intuition and psychology and I hope to provide some value from my experience with this. And I wanted to start with a different approach. So we're gonna have a look through like some quick charts, and then I'll provide some I'll show you some powerful tools that really help my psychology and my trading. So we'll get into the psychology part in the second half, and this all links together. But here, so it's like, what do you think will happen here? So um, and take a moment just to look at the chart. You know, it's 5:50 on a 60-minute chart. So we've got 10 minutes until this candle closes. Um, so yeah, what you can put it in the chat if you want. Like, what do you think will happen? No, it doesn't have to be long. Just a quick thing in the chat. Yeah, I can't see.
Can
Um,
see the chat?
yeah, snap. Yeah, exactly. So exactly, what everyone's saying here is exactly what I think there'll probably be a snapback, right? Because in 10 minutes we're basically gonna close as a rejection wick, and then you've got the 8 and 21 that's so wide open. The momentum is running out from the bears, and you've got the 200, the 21, and the big number clustering at that level. So there's a high chance it will snap back. So we're pretty sure that's gonna happen. So then I see this, and then I go onto the charts, and then I find a pattern, right? And there, although it's not this was the chart, by the way. It's the very same chart. And although the pattern is quite, no, it's not the best pattern, and the line probably should have been drawn a bit lower. But then you look at it and you think, okay, on TC there was a nice momentum move. We've got momentum coming up. And on TC3, we're pretty sure that there will be a snapback, right? It's quite a high probability chance. And even on TC2, well, okay, that's negative. We've been against the 8 the whole time. But we've got to the point where we're closing in 10 minutes as a rejection wick. And then it has to come back to the 21 at some point because it's getting wider and wider. So I'm pretty confident that will happen. Plus, we got the 200 on TC as a magnet. So based on that, I think, well, there's actually a good chance that will happen. And although it's very different because we're going against the 21 on TC1, I think, well, actually, there's a good chance I can at least be break even and we'll see where the trade goes. And then that results in a pyramid that exceeds the monthly goal. And it didn't even come back to the 21 or the 8. So it was just a small move, and that was enough. So my aim is to show how taking these sort of like obvious trades is the key to consistency, whilst giving you a different perspective into how I see the charts. So um I'm going to show you like a few trades, and all these trades were clear and obvious for me and for my style. But everyone has their own style, and I'm not trying to make you trade in my style. And the style like aligns with your personality and your psychology. So for example, as a person, I'm quite creative, and I trade best when I make the systems my own rather than following the set rules really strictly. So that's why I use perhaps if you say like more discretion, but in each style, no matter how you trade, there are clear and easy trades to take. And those trades might not be obvious to everybody, which is why it's your individual style. So if you follow the rules, like the set rules, like really strictly, well, that's still your style, and there are clear trades to take when you still follow the rules. And I might not see those trades as clear because it's not it's not like my style of trading. And through only taking the most obvious trades, it gives us more than enough opportunities. So I try not to settle for anything less than this. I try to take the most obvious trades, the trades where I think that I know will go in the direction that I want them to, and that's my best. It's sort of like the no regret trades that Gabriel talks about, but just different wording in that way. So for example, this is a more like standard trade. This was this week, a trade from I think Tuesday, and I didn't have much time this week because I have exams, but I just needed to achieve the weekly goal. So one good trade is enough. And for example, here I see it as such like a clear, obvious trade. because we look at TC2, you got the its price is so close to the 200. It's not overextended. And you've got the 200 and also the big number sort of clustering here as a magnet coming down. And on TC3, you've got the 200 again, price is coming back down. Tried price tried to break away from this big number, making a high, and then the bears came back in and wanting to come back down to the 200 and perhaps this big number. And even on TC1, 2, even on TC4, price is going to come down to the 21. It's so close, and I think that it's just a small push. And even TC5, it's come against the 200 and likely to come back down. So I think it's such a clear and sort of easy, sort of obvious trade. And yeah, you can see what happens. Well, it just comes back down to the 200 on TC1 and TC no on TC2 and TC3, and I'm happy just to take the profit on that. And then it was a small pyramid here, but the same thing. I wasn't trading it to get a big result. I just wanted it to come down to the 200 again. It was an extra 1.2. And this is the last example. So here we didn't have a great pattern, right? But then again, like I'm sure the trade will go in my direction. It's quite an obvious trade again for me. So you can see we have the big number here. We've got a nice strong downtrend. On TC2, we had a volatility contraction, and then now we're sort of starting the expansion, and it's likely to go down because we're already in a downtrend, and we've got the big number here again, and that sort of helps price to come down further. And even though TC 3 and 4 against the 200, I think we can make it a free trade like quite easily and quickly, and then after that, the market, you take what the market gives you. And then by doing the same thing, you can get big results. Like I wasn't planning for like this sort of thing to happen, like with this follow through, but when you just do like the same things and you just follow the exit algorithm and things like this can happen. So again, it's just basically the same slide as earlier, but I just want to be like I want to reinforce the point that everyone has their own st style, and I'm not trying to tr make you trade the style, and I'm not saying that you should. But then like being in masters or LMP or boot camp, you're either starting or you have developed your own style. So in each style you trade, no matter what you trade, there are going to be some clear and easy trades to take, like I've just showed you there. And okay, and yeah. This is honestly like if you get something from this, I really want to like reinforce that the clearest trades are the best. But then everyone can take clear trades, clear and easy trades, and that's the easy. But then the hard part is, mixing them in with the trades that aren't so good. Mixing these sort of trades in with like the FOMO trades or the low quality trades, and they sort of like make your results worse and get rid of these good trades in a way. So yeah, this is what Albert Einstein said. So the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten this gift. So we are all using intuition in our trading. If you break the rules, you require intuition to have a valid reason to break them. If you stick to the rules, you require intuition because you have to choose which trades to take and which trades to miss. And this is why a big part of our job as traders is to train our intuitive minds, which for me takes more time out of my day now than actual technical like training in a way for trading. So I wanted to share with you some of the top things that helped get rid of my heavy FOMO that I had at the start of LMP and also improve my psychology. So one of the things was I was bored with the outcome of acting out of fear. So you can see like these charts, look, I'm sure we've all had it before, right? We're so happy to get in the trades because like we think we're gonna miss out. And then a few seconds after we get stopped out straight away. You can see like for me, for example, this happens so often. And it got to a point where like I realized, like I felt earlier, how I knew what would happen, right, to the chart when I was in a state of fear and doing this, I was like, if I rush the trade, I knew that it would be a loser even before I go into it. Like, I just know because I'm acting out of fear, then I know that it will be a loser. So then I thought, well, I might as well just stop because I know that it's going to lose. Even if I think it will be good, I know it's going to lose because I'm acting out of fear. And often I was right. So, 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 You talked about this book earlier, The Power of Now, and I really believe that book really helped me to overcome FOMO. And even this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, that's quite a classic book on like human nature. But I believe that the concepts referred into this sort of apply to our own psychology when dealing with ourselves. So as Claudia mentioned, the power of now, they talk about how the root of pain is desire. So if I want to avoid pain, I need to think that I have everything already, right? So when I trade, I do not need anything else, and I'm already enough as I am. So then at that point, I'm trading just to be, and I'm in a state of peace and joy through doing this. And then with this book, they mention how criticism, it doesn't inspire change. So if you keep criticizing someone, it doesn't make them change. And I bet you can all think of a time in your lives where someone just kept telling you to do things, right? And then maybe you just ended up not doing it or not wanting to do it. And they explain how constant criticism, it turns into resentment. So you end up hating them. So if we put, is it possible that if we keep criticizing ourselves, we'll end up resenting ourselves? Right? So if I keep saying, why do I do this? Why do I do this? Well, then you're talking bad about yourself and you're criticizing yourself, and maybe subconsciously you'll end up hating yourself. So instead of doing this, we can turn it into a positive internal dialogue that inspires change rather than being harsh on yourself. So the book talks about humans are emotional beings and we're not logical. So we know what to do, but we just can't do it. And this comes back to at the start of LMP. I was really thinking in my mind, I need to be patient and I need to not act out of FOMO and I need to analyze the trade properly before I get into it. And I kept telling myself before I started trading that I need to do this, I need to do this, and I will do this, I will do this. But I ended up following the old ways, even though it's not logical, because I know that I shouldn't do it, but my emotions led me to do that. So in that case, the problem is with fixing our emotions, and therefore we have to dive deeper into the unconscious. So then I worked on the unconscious through learning about Orphan, through like Randy Howe's book, Mindful Trading, and that really gave me a deeper understanding of where this fear came from and the reasons behind I couldn't just change and what was behind the thinking that I needed to be in the trade. This is something that I just got into like a week ago or a bit more than that. Conversations with God. Like this book is really good, and they mention that every single choice that you make, you either make a choice out of fear or you make a choice out of love. And for love to exist, there must also be fear. They also mention that you choose where to make the choice out of. You choose to make a choice out of fear or you choose to act out of love. And they mention how fear contracts and love expands. So this comes back to the same concept of like abundance versus scarcity. Like when fear contracts, when you come together, well, then you're scarce as well. Then you're thinking that I can't miss this trade because there are no more opportunities and I need to make this. But when you act out of love and you expand, you think there are endless opportunities in the markets. And if I miss this one, even if I'm wrong, then it's okay and I forgive myself and I'll just move on to the next trade. And they mention that when you act out of love, you find who you really are. And I believe when you trade out of love, you have beautiful trades. And that's what's worked with me. So we can even see, I saw this slide last during the workshop, but Hawkins's consciousness scale. If we think back to the slide before where I was thinking, I will I will not act out of FOMO, I will be patient and I will evaluate the trades. I'm at a point of courage. Am I not? Like I'm courageous that no, I'm gonna do the right thing. But when I switch it to be love, then I go up to 500 where inner love is, and my consciousness goes straight up. And I believe this really reflects the effects that you have when you shift your mindset into this way, where you end up making decisions out of love rather than fear, basically. And it comes back to Gabriel's like development path. I'm sure like all of you have seen since the boot so since the workshop as well. when you look at mastery, they say how you feel like you act out of like peace and joy, like floating down a river. Well, that same joy comes of like trading in a place of love. When you trade in a place of love, you can straight away use the knowledge that you've learned. And I believe like through doing this, I've been able to trade in my own style on an FTMO like prop firm live account. And I've been able to trust my intuition. And I made a note, Sean earlier as well, he said like sometimes like you can have trouble trusting your intuition. And then I believe it's more maybe of a mental state thing. Because when you're acting in a state of fear, then you're always doubting whether you're doing is correct. But when you're acting in a state of love, then you accept that you can be wrong and you're in a place where you don't mind being wrong. But then you can hear the voice of intuition louder, and then you'll end up trusting it because you feel like you have nothing to lose. And I think for me, that's been a really big thing. And it worked straight away. As soon as I did that, then I started trading in my own style on the live account that actually meant something. I also believe like an underrated thing in your day is your morning routine. And I'm sure like most of you are masters as well, it's probably part of it. And you probably come up with your own morning routine that helps you. So this is just an example of what I do. And it seems long, but I do actually stick to it, surprisingly. And I saw on Charlie's screen he had like a whiteboard behind him. The whiteboard, honestly, is the key to sticking to this. Like for me, because I have a whiteboard, it always reminds me throughout the day of what I need to do. I always tick off everything and I update it all the time. And the whiteboard, I believe for me, is like one of the biggest keys in staying disciplined and the stuff you have to do. And it really does help me. And I also deleted social media. So this is for me personally, like this is a really big thing because a lot of my friends my age, they're all on social media, TikTok, Instagram, everything like Snapchat. And like when you're on there for so long, you end up just scrolling and not thinking. And I started thinking that maybe like, well, surely this is affecting my trading. I'm seeing so many different things, like hearing so many different sounds straight away. Surely this is affecting my mental state in trading. And yeah, here are some of the effects well, it basically has. So yeah, I deleted it. I know straight away, like, this is the biggest thing. Like, I had increased concentration. Like, I can concentrate on the charts better and I can make better decisions. So, yeah, this really like really helped my trading. And if you have it and you feel like you're on it for too long, well, it might be an idea to maybe try to get rid of it, and you could see like the positive effects that it has. And it's the price of good trading. Like, um, I guess you can't really have everything right, but then if you wanted to trade well, then you have to do what tr good traders would do. And I don't imagine Gabriel's on Instagram all day scrolling on like reels. And, I don't think he does that. So I don't want to do that either. So these are some of the main points that I want you to take away from this, really. So the clearest trades are the best, and I really mean it. When you just know something will happen and you can see it and there's a reason for it. So technically, some of my trades, they're intuitive, but then I still had a reason behind them. So I think it was Charlie as well who said like, what's the difference between intuition and FOMO? And I think intuition has a reason behind it still, even if it's not clear, intuition still has a reason behind it. And at all times, I always know what I'm doing. I always know why I'm doing it. And I also like I don't know, like with FOMO, you start to think in your head like I want or I need sort of thing. So I want to be in this trade. I need to be in this trade. When you're acting out of intuition, you're acting more logically. You're acting more like I think or like it should, those sort of things. You're thinking more logically, even if it's not easy to give you a reason for it. I think FOMO is more of just an emotion rather than being logical, which is what intuition is for me. So yeah, I hope it was useful and sort of explains my thinking behind some of the different trades I might take, because a lot of the trades I take, you guys might be thinking like, what am I doing, right? And for example, I was going to show this one. I'm not going to talk through it because I think we're running out of time a bit, but like here, this was another trade this week. It's a very different trade when I look back at it, right? And at the time, I was so certain that price is going to go in the direction that I wanted to. And I had a reason behind it. Well, I just talk very, very quickly. Like here, we've bounced back on to the big number as well. And 8 and 21 are starting to open up. We've got the 21 clustering with the 200. Here, like we've always had quite deep pullbacks to the 21. And now that we've reached the big number, often you have quite a deep pullback again after hitting a big number because it's still support, right? And then because prices come back to the 21 so often, well, the chances are it's probably going to come back again. And even here, I see a pattern. It's very like different, but then it's got a tight stop and it'll be break even before the 21. And I trade that just sort of to get to the 21 at least and to see where price takes or to see where it takes me. And then, I get decent follow through and I just take profit at the 21. So like this was this week as well. So I don't know, trading, I believe it becomes easy when you can, like you guys said earlier, block the noise away and allow room for the intuition to come out. And to be able to distinguish what's intuition and what's FOMO is such a big skill. Because once you know what intuition is, then you know that you're making the right decision. And I believe my intuition always has a reason behind it, but like maybe it's quite hard to explain. But I've tried my best. So yeah, I hope you found it interesting.